happened, and it was, there was nothing special or nothing tricky or complex there. You are supposed to do this on your own. But just because I sent it in the homework category, I will help you find out the answer. Okay, so the homework was that you were supposed to read this and find out at least 10 barriers which are present because of which the communication failed here. So I guess most of you could have found out, as this was very easy, although the categories can be similar, but in different places different barriers were present. So let's see, those who have tried to find out the barriers, how much success they have achieved here. Neha Nanda.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are properly audible.
Yeah, ma'am. I think one of the barriers is cultural barriers. One, because Mrs. Jones addresses others by their first name, as does as does the girl. So, which is not quite like common. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it might not be seen as a common thing addressing
Oh,
both of.
yeah, it's not acceptable that someone so young can address everyone by their first name.
It depends on the culture. It varies.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that was one. Okay. Abhishek Agrawal.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the last line, there was the Mrs. Jones that giving the surprising actions. So for this, I think there is a lack of consideration for employee needs,
Yeah.
and maybe no interest to communicate or lack of trust also,
Mm-hmm.
because she is so senior. So she thinks that he is my junior, so like he is not able to trust him.
Okay. Okay. No problem. And these were the two things he has found out. One is, lack of consideration for employees' needs, and again there is lack of, she did not want to communicate basically. So these were the three. Ria Prajapati.
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, uh, I got these three only.
Okay, you have the same barriers you have found out. Okay, let's hear from others. Aditi Khare.
I found that the interpersonal barrier is also there because as the as Mrs. Jones came 10 minutes late, so there was a lack of interest in talking between them, and she did not considerate the employees like his time and punctuality,
Mm-hmm.
and also
So this can be called
and also
shortage of
barrier
time.
emanating from subordinates like lack of cooperation,
Mm-hmm.
no interest to communicate, and individual or psychological barriers.
That is correct. That is correct. These are present there. Okay, so if you people have the similar barriers, please lower down your hands. Those who have found out similar barriers. Okay, okay. We still have 5 hands. They have something to add. Divyanshu Agrawal.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. It comes that when they are taking the tour of the facility, Miss Jones, uh, when she is introducing the residents, so she is taking a long time for chatting with the residents.
Mhm.
So that's also like lack of regulations. Like you are in a job, you are in a formal job, so
Yeah, so you are investing your time there, but the person who is taking a tour with you, she might be or he might be in a bit hurry there.
Yes,
This is what you are saying?
yes, ma'am. Like they are in a formal job, so you shouldn't spend large time unnecessary talking to all of the residents.
Okay. Okay. That is
So
also
lack
present.
regulation in the organizational structure, we can say.
Yeah, this is interpersonal.
Yes, yes, ma'am. And
Oh,
for the rest of the trip, Miss Jones has little to say, and uh, even the boy that went there, he doesn't bother that they are not communicating. So it's the uh, uh, lack of interest to communicate.
yeah, that is present. Both the parties, they have no interest in talking to each other while they are going to collaborate on this. Okay,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
all, Divyanshu.
I think one more.
Okay, then tell us. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's like throughout means in the starting also and in the end also we see that the boy that went is very much excited because it's his first opportunity and to share his ideas and all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also a kind of like state of mind. Like people who are very excited can do their job wrong, like overexcitedness.
This is called hasty conclusion. This can fall in hasty conclusion. He just thinks it that the other person is ready to accept all his ideas, and this is just contrary. Here I would like to add one, that Mrs. Jones is showing that she is a closed minded person. She is not ready to take these ideas, while the assistant, the boy, he is ready to, in a way, he thinks that whatever he will contribute, that is that is something good, and they should accept it. So two barriers are arising here. One is close-mindedness, and another one is hasty conclusion.
Okay.
Okay. So, Kaptan, what do you have to add here?
Ma'am, as the meeting is scheduled and the boy came at the time, but Mrs. Jones came 10
Late.
minutes late, so it's showing lack of I can't
Professional.
pronounce it. Yes,
Professional.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Lack of profession. So that is there.
Professionalism is not there. So this has been, included by another student. Please, if you have anything to add, then only raise your hand. Otherwise, lower it, because I have to start a new unit as well. This is why I'm saying. Ishita, Amisha, Garima, do you have something to add here, or do you have to the same things? Are you going to repeat them? Ishita?
Ma'am, in the line that you noticed that Mrs. Jones had a little to say, but the boy was not curious to know. Like the boy was not curious to know that what she wants to say. So it is no interest to communicate and lack of communication. Uh, also. Then we see that in the last line it is that imagine your surprise when the look she gives you stops you in your tracks. So it might be possible that the boy is perceiving it as that she is not ready to listen it further, but it may be that uh, she just wants to add something or something like that. So it can be semantic barrier, because it might be possible that the expression that the Mrs. Jones wants to give is being understood as something else by the boy. And also there is that when you return to Mrs. Jones office, you immediately begin telling Mrs. Jones the improvements. So it is also like a lack of proper channel, might be because maybe a proper channel was required to be followed to present the ideas to Mrs. Jones, instead of just rushing into the cabin and telling all the improvements that we have in mind. So This was all, ma'am, that I found.
Okay, I guess most of the barriers have been found out by you people. These are also repetitive in a way. Let me tell you how many are present there, and then you can tally your answers. So according to me, when both the parties were late, if you read it carefully, you will find out that that you arrived just a few minutes after your appointment time. So it means even that person, that assistant, he or she was even not present on time. And after that, Mrs. Jones also turned up 10 minutes late. So this is a kind of shortage of time from both the sides, subordinate to superior and superior to subordinate. At least the assistant manager should have reached on time. Then again, there is lack of cooperation when they are taking a tour of the facility, but they have nothing to discuss there, although they are supposed to work on the relocation. So there is lack of cooperation throughout. And then we have she is not talking directly here. If in the first line you read it properly, not in the first line, but third line, one of your first responsibilities involved touring a local nursing home and assisting the administrator. So here Mrs. Jones wants to take the higher position. She is just getting assistance by this particular assistant manager or planner. She is not making him the in charge. She is the in charge. So there is a kind of a status relationship is also involved here. They are not ready to be on the same pedestal. Then we have no interest to communicate. When she notices that Mrs. Jones has very less to say, even she is relieved because she had no intention of communicating. Then we have closed mind, as we have discussed that Mrs. Jones is not ready to take all the suggestions she was making. And yes, norms and values, this one is a big one, because when Mrs. Jones, who is senior, who is 60 years old, if she is communicating with the fellow people there with their first name, it was not supposed to be done by the assistant emergency planner as well, that she or he could call them with their first name. So this is cultural barrier according to the norms and values. And then we have lack of feedback throughout this. They do not give any feedback to each other directly. They jump to the suggestions, especially the assistant manager. And here we have premature evaluation as well, because this particular assistant, she thinks that everything whatever she's saying is right, and there is hasty conclusion because Mrs. Jones has not said anything so far. She thinks that whatever suggestions she is going to give, she'll take or accept everything. So in total, we have interpersonal barriers. Several interpersonal barriers are present there. Most of them are because there was lack of cooperation. These two people were never on the same page. They did not like each other's company, and even then they were trying to work together. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes,
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for informing me that. So let's move to the next unit. With this, we have finished our first unit, which was the lengthiest. Okay, this was the longest one, and thankfully we have ended it here. What is happening in your another lecture, which falls on Monday? What are you discussing there these days? Hello?
Ma'am, non-verbal communication.
Non-verbal communication. Okay, good. So we are going to start with listening skills. What are the points we are going to discuss here? Let's look at them. Introduction will be there. And this is how we'll start the unit. Then why listening is an art, the difference between listening and hearing, then poor listening versus effective listening, the process of listening, then types of listening, intensive versus extensive listening, barriers to effective listening, techniques for effective listening and note taking. So these are some of the subtopics which we are going to discuss here. Ishita, please lower down your hand. So so far we have discussed how communication is important, and when we say communication, somehow it is generally believed that we are talking about spoken. Okay, whenever we come across any person who is very fluent, they speak very good English, we generally conclude, okay, he is a very good communicator. But this is not true. Communication is a term which is an umbrella term. There are several skills we need to ace if we want to ace this communication skills. Okay, so here we are going to discuss what are those skills which make us good communicator, and at the same time which one is the most important to learn if you want to be a good communicator. So there's no surprise, this unit is about listening skills. So we have found out, not only we have found out, through researches and training sessions, we have found out that listening skills are most important. We'll discuss why we think so. Okay, so let's look into this. What is the definition? When you are listening to somebody completely and attentively, you are listening not only to the words but also the feeling of what is being conveyed, to the whole of it, not part of it. So within these three lines, we have tried to cover most of the parts, important parts. When you listen to somebody, you are not just supposed to look for the information which you were seeking. You will have to listen to whole of it. You will have to process whole of it, and you will have to be very attentive while you are doing this. Okay, so this is why most of the people are not good listeners. Their focus is not good, their concentration level is not very good, or they do not give importance to all the things they are listening, rather they focus on the parts of it. And when you listen selectively, you do not listen the whole of the message, most of the times you make mistakes there. And this is why we say that listening means listening properly with concentration into the whole of the message rather than only a part of it. Okay, so if we discuss that how much do we learn through communication skills, 85% of it is learned by listening only. We'll find out why I'm saying so. There are four skills which are taught to us, especially when it comes to our communication skills. These are the four things which are taught to us. Sorry. So you can see that I have divided, there are four columns. The skills which are taught or which are learned by us are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. You will come across these terms very frequently. They are generally addressed as LSRW. LSRW. So whenever you approach communication, whenever you try to learn communication, these are the four parts where people or where teachers and trainers focus more. So if you look at the percentage of how much do we use them, you will see that writing is used only 9% throughout, in general in our we use 9% of time is used for writing, 16% for reading, 35% for speaking, and 45% for listening. And how does it happen? How we learn them? Writing is taught first of all, then they focus on reading, then they focus on speaking, and very few times they talk about listening or they teach you how to listen properly. If you look, if you look near to you or at your family, Whenever there is a kid, what happens, they start listening first. They start learning things by listening. When they listen to those sounds, they try to repeat them, and through that they learn how to pronounce words. And then they, but we generally ignore this part. We generally start with writing. They are told that these are the letters A, B, C, D. When they start recognizing them, then we come to reading. We start telling them, okay, these are sentences, these are paragraphs, these are whole chapters. Then they with the help of this they start speaking. The ultimate thing here as well, that we generally ignore how to tell them to listen properly. They are sent to school where they are made to sit in a class, and throughout the day they are listening. But the only thing you hear from your teachers and other people is listen properly, listen properly. How to listen properly, that is never told to you. So in this chapter we are going to learn what are the things which we should focus on when we are listening, and how to improve our listening skills. Generally it is said that listening is an art. Why? Because this is one of the most important communication skill. In GD also, you must have heard it, that if you do not listen properly, you cannot be present there, or you cannot give good arguments. If you are not listening, the next argument which you are going to give, that will be irrelevant, because the person who was speaking before you, he has or she has made certain points, and you should answer them. You should include information about that in your next argument. And this is why listening is very important in general life as well. Whenever you react, whenever you respond, you need to know in which context the discussion is being made. So if you are not listening properly, if you do not listen properly, you will not be able to respond properly. And this is why we say that listening is very, very important. Second is, we probably spend more time using our listening skills than any other kind of skill. Throughout the day, we listen to so many things, especially in your student lives. From the morning till evening, you people are listening to so many lectures. You take part there, you sit throughout the lecture and you listen. So in the same manner, in real life as well, real life situation, we come across the situations where we have to speak, but they are lesser in number. Most of the times we are listening, and this is why it is more important. Here the main thing is, we have to find out how to practice this particular skill. Um, it is not like that, just by going and sitting there you can learn listening. This is a conscious process, this is an active process. Whenever we sit in any situation, generally our mind drifts away, our mind wanders out. Why does this happen? Because of lack of interest there, and because of our poor concentration. So this is generally suggested that when you start or whenever you join something, you should first make background checks. You should try to understand what it is which you are going to take part in, and according to that you should prepare yourself to be a part of that. Okay. So the 3 points in the later 3 points are related to each other. It takes practice, it is active process, and it requires attention. Now the question is, why we are not attentive? We say that, okay, when we sit there, when we start listening, after some time something happens. It's just like you are listening to a lecture. There comes a line, within that line there is a word. This word is new to you. You try to understand the meaning. How do you understand the meaning? Whatever knowledge, background knowledge you have about other things, with the help of that you try to decode it. Certain times in this process, what happens, we are reminded of something else, and when we go into that memory, and from there, when we are when we find out that we have been absent minded, we have missed something, we come back, we become attentive again. In the meantime, we have missed some part of it. So why does this happen? The basic reason here is that it is said that when people speak, they can speak like 125 to 250 words in a minute. 150 to 250 words in a minute, and our brain can process 500 to 700 words in a minute. So you can see there is no connection. The difference is quite big. People can process more information while they are getting less information there. And just because we are not using the full capacity of our brain, it's like we are using only 25% of our brain, the brain wanders off. This is why we say that being attentive, to keep yourself attentive, generally people take notes while they are listening. Especially you people, when you are listen to lectures, you should take notes so that this process, we are saying that 500 to 700 words we can listen, but just think about it. If someone speaks so fast, then you will start missing the information as well. So generally the biggest struggle of speakers is that they should find a tempo on which people can listen and understand, and at the same time they are not being very quick that they miss the information, or they should not be so slow that people get bored. Okay, so for the speakers, this is one of the situation. They have to make it interesting. And when we talk about communication, we always suggest that use those words which are common to other people, which can be understood by other people. If you use very difficult words, they will not understand, and then ultimately their concentration will drift away. So this is why these are the problems from the side of speakers. And at the same time, for listeners, if the speech is very lengthy, if it is very time taking, if there are no pictures, we put these PPTs here so that your concentration is fixed. You are listening, but at the same time you are watching as well. So this becomes a complete whole process here. But if I remove this, there is no PPT. For 1 hour, I'll only speak. After some time, you will get bored. After some time, your concentration will be lost. So this is why this is an active process. You will have to keep yourself motivated that you are listening to something. You will have to make conscious efforts in understanding it. You will have to be attentive, and again and again, when you take part in this listening, you learn how to listen properly. Okay, this is why we say that listening is an art. It is not like something inbuilt. Generally people think, why are we supposed to teach someone listen? Okay, this is a mechanism. So sound falls there, they should listen and understand, that's all. But this is not the case. We have to listen properly. For that we will have to make conscious efforts. Don't worry, we'll discuss how to listen effectively. We'll discuss those points as well. So now we are here on hearing versus listening. So what is the difference? What is the basic difference in hearing and listening? Anyone out of you would like to tell us what is the basic difference between hearing and listening? Yes, Divyanshu.
Ma'am, hearing is just like any physical sound that falls in our ears, that gets into our ears because our ears are always open. But listening is that whatever sounds you are hearing, you have to understand them, that convey a special message to your brain.
That is correct. That is correct. Hearing and listening, in the basic difference here is that hearing is a passive process, while listening is an active process. How we differentiate between these two? Hearing is a physiological process. It is like you cannot ignore few sounds. When you are trying to sleep and someone is talking, so even then you are able to hear it, although your brain is not active. Uh, our brain is always active. I'm talking about when we sleep, we give rest to our brain. So even there, some sounds fall into your ear, you get disturbed. So this is hearing, this is passive. You are not taking any active, you are not making any active effort to listen. Even then, these sounds, they fall on your eardrum and you have to listen to that. Okay, so this is a physiological process. These eardrums, they receive the sound waves and they observe the sounds. So this is called hearing. This is passive. It is just like if you are listening to me right now, you can listen the sound, you can hear the sound of my fan as well. Okay, this is continuously whirring there in the background. So that sound is also there. Even if you try to concentrate on my voice, even then you will be able to listen to that sound. So this is hearing. This is hearing. It's just like you are sitting there and some vehicle, it is passing from your door, so you can hear the sound there. But how it is different from listening? When it is listening, we make a conscious effort to receive those sounds and we try to interpret those sounds. It's just like as I gave you the example of the vehicle which is passing through, you know, your door, and you could hear that there was some sound. So that was hearing. You did not pay any attention. But if a car stops there and it starts blowing its horn, then it will be like you will start listening, okay, whether someone has turned up, if there is someone who is there to meet me, are they asking to open the door. Now you are making conscious efforts, you are receiving those signals and you are trying to interpret it. In the same manner, like you are in crowd, you listen a sound, and then you ignore it. Okay, it can be sound of someone's ringtone. Okay, so first you try to understand whether it is your ringtone, and when it is not your ringtone, you do not pay any attention. So first it is hearing, and from there it turns into listening when you start receiving and interpreting the sound. This is the basic difference between hearing and listening. While we are listening, we do few things, we try to find out whether it is in the some special context, the message which you are receiving, and does this include any kind of message for you, it is, if it is meant for you. And then when you listen to this message, you try to apply your reasoning, you try to find out whether it is something useful or useless. So your reasoning also get involved when you are listening properly. And then you calculate the value. What is the value of that message? Should it be taken seriously or it should be discarded? And if you are creative enough, you will listen to it and you will integrate it in your knowledge. It means that whatever you have just listened, you have learned that as well. Memorizing is a part of listening. Whatever you listen, it gets stored somewhere in your brain. So if you are listening properly, this is why we say listen properly. Half of the thing is done, half of your work is done if you listen properly, because it is going to be stored somewhere in your memory. You just need to give a revision, and then it is there forever. Whenever you need the information, your brain will bring it out. So this is why we say that listening is different from hearing. Hearing is a passive activity. Even if you want to take part in it or not, either you will listen to those sounds, hear to those sounds. While listening means that you are making effort to understand and interpret them and try to understand what is happening. Okay, so this was the difference between hearing and listening. Divyanshu, have you forgotten to lower down your hand, or do you want to ask something?
Sorry, ma'am, I forgot to lower it down.
Oh, okay, no problem. Second, next subtopic is process of listening. Just like we have seen the process of communication, in the same way we are going to look into the process of listening. This is very simple. If you look at the first three, they are almost joined together. Okay, there is not much difference in it. They happen very quickly. It's just like you are standing at the gate of a shop. Okay, take this example. You are standing at the gate of this shop and you hear a voice, someone is calling you, and then you turn, the person tells you that to, you should get aside. Okay, so you give them the answer that there is no space. Now this is a simple example. This happens very frequently. If we try to separate this process here, first there is sensing. There is a kind of stimulus there. There is a sound which makes you sense that someone is talking to you. Okay, so this is called as sensing. When you sense the sound, you physically hear the message. And because why does this happen? Because this sound wave is falling to your eardrum. Then comes recognizing. When you recognize, what happens? Because you have heard some physical sounds there, now you try to identify and recognize those symbols. These symbols are the words. Okay, with the help of these words you try to understand the message, recognize, not understand, you try to recognize, okay, what is being said, what is the context in which this is being said to you. So it may be like in the first one you hear a hello, and in the second one you hear get aside. And when you come to the third part, which is interpreting, here you are trying to decode the message. You try to apply it according to your values, beliefs, ideas, and your need. So here when you hear please get aside, you are interpreting and you check the need, whether you need to get aside or not, whether there is possibility of it or not. So this is called our interpretation. Whatever you have listened according to your values, beliefs, needs and ideas, you try to interpret that message. Here what happens, that while you are interpreting, you take in account the non-verbal cues as well. As you are talking to that person, if it is face-to-face communication, you can look at that person, so you try to take in account the non-verbal cues as well. Then we come to evaluate. Here what you are going to check, whether after you critically evaluate this message, and you try to check whether it is a strong message, a weak message, is it accurate or not, it is reliable or not, is it feasible or not, can it be done or not. As I told you that you refuse to get aside. So while you evaluate the message, you check whether there is enough space or not. Okay, so according to the strength of the message, you take the next action. It might be you hear the sound of a car. Okay, you recognize that it is coming in your way. You interpret that it is going to hit you, and after evaluating that it can be very, very risky, you jump aside. Okay, and you give way to the other person. And this is how you are, how you respond there. But if it is a kind of scenario where a person who is on foot, he is asking to get you aside, there is no need to be so alarmed. So here you can tell the other person that there is no space. How can I move from this place? I have to go inside and there is no space, I cannot move aside. Or you can tell that person it is urgent, I need to be in the store before you, I'm not leaving my space here. So this is how you are going to respond on the basis of whether, when you have checked the strength and weakness, accuracy or reliability and feasibility, on the basis of that you finally tell the other person whether you understand the message or not. Are you confused? Because if you are confused, you will ask more questions and then you will understand. And certain time it happens that someone is telling you that they want to help you, but you are not ready to take their help because you don't trust them. You can tell that too, you can inform them about this as well, or it's up to you, you reject or accept the offer. And this after this finally we come to remembering or memorizing. So what happens here, whatever information or whatever experience you have gained, you try to keep it in your memory. So if it is something like this what just happened, it's a kind of accident, it is a kind of incident, so you remember, okay, there was a person who was asking you something, now you will remember this. If it is a lecture where you have spent a lot of time and you have learned something, what you are going to do, you will make notes, and when you will revise these notes in future, this information is going to be stored there for a long time. Okay, so this is our process of listening. A very simple process. Starts with sensing, recognizing, interpreting, evaluating, responding, and remembering. Is it clear, this one?
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
Okay. No problem. There was a student who made Mrityunjay. I guess it was Mrityunjay. Mrityunjay, are you able to see the... Mrityunjay is not present. Naman? Naman?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he missing the classes, Mrityunjay? Do you know that there is a student? Okay.
I
You
talked
have
to
no
him
idea.
and I think there was network issue from his side.
Okay. Check whether he is attending the classes or not. If there is a problem, we'll talk about it, because no one should miss all the classes.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Naman. Let's move to the next slide. These are the points. If you keep them in your mind, you will be an effective listener. And if you practice the reverse side of it, which is ineffective listeners, if you listen, if you practice this kind of listening, it means that you are not a good listener. So let's look into this. The font is a bit smaller one because I wanted to keep it in one slide only, but I guess you people are able to see it. And if you are not, just take a screenshot and zoom in and you can see everything clearly. So to be effective, to be an effective listener, you need to listen actively. We have just discussed it. When you listen passively, you do not make any effort. You do not hold any control over your concentration. So always try to listen actively. If you are listening passively, you will become ineffective listener. Stay focused on the speaker and the conversation. And in the other column, we have allow their minds to wander, are easily distracted, work on unrelated tasks. So you might have seen people when they, when they are listening, they keep shaking their legs, they keep moving their hands, okay, they keep scratching. This is a kind of behavior which shows the person is distracted. His full concentration is not there. So to keep yourself focused, what you have to do, you have to look at the speaker, try to understand his non-verbal language as well. Focus on the words and try to understand them properly. If you stop looking at the speaker and you concentrate on some other place, soon you will zone out. What will happen? A few things will come to your mind. You will get engrossed in that idea and your mind will wander. So don't let your mind do that. Focus on what is the speaker saying, and with the help of that, try to understand it. Take careful notes when applicable. So when we talk about note taking, there is one thing. There are students, especially when the teacher starts speaking, from that point to until the lecture ends, they note down each and everything. They try to write down everything. So what they are doing here, they are writing, they are taking notes, they are taking dictation, they are not listening. If you are listening, you will be able to segregate between important and unimportant points. You will be able to understand what part should be noted down and what part should be ignored. Whenever you discuss any topic, you can see it very easily that there are parts which are more important and then there are parts which are less important. So if you are a good listener, if you practice it enough, you will be able to segregate that what should be noted down and how to take effective notes. You people have heard about Prezi writing, have you?
Passive writing.
Yes, ma'am.
Prezi writing,
Yeah.
not passive writing. Prezi writing. Precis. Prezi. Prezi.
Yes, ma'am.
Good,
No,
good,
ma'am.
good. So Aditi, what do we mean by Prezi?
Prezi is like summarizing the whole content in a given limited words.
Very good, very good. So this is art of condensation. It is generally called not condensation, condensation. Art of condensation means you condense the given paragraph. It means you squeeze it into shorter words. So she has used the correct term there, summarizing. When you take notes, try to make a summary. Do not try to write each and everything there. Try to understand, and on the basis of your understanding, note down the answers rather than notes, rather than noting down each and every word spoken by the speaker there. Fourth one is make frequent eye contact with the speaker. Depends on culture to culture. And in the other one, make little or no eye contact or inappropriate eye contact. What do we mean by inappropriate eye contact? There is a term called staring. So staring or gazing. So all of you know the meaning, I guess. Uh, when you look at a person without blinking your eyes for a very long time, this is called gazing or staring. So whenever you make this kind of eye contact with someone, you make them uncomfortable. They do not like it. No one likes it. So when you are making eye contact, you should try to know whether you should look. Okay, when we are in professional world, when we are in professional conversation, it is generally suggested that you do not look below the nose of a person, or do not try to look above the eyebrows of a person. You cannot talk to a person while looking at their temple or their forehead. It shows that you are trying to take a kind of authority there. And if you are if you are looking below the nose, that is very, very inappropriate. This is not suggested. So making eye contact means focusing on the eyes of the other person. That is the correct way. But here also you should try to break this eye contact frequently. You should not continuously look at a person where that person becomes uncomfortable. And this is why it is written there, depends on culture to culture. It's just like, generally, if we talk about Indian culture, male and female, when they are talking to each other, I'm not talking about professional world. Generally, people, when they are strangers and they are in public, when they communicate with each other, they do not make eye contact. When we talk to our elders, especially within the house, when your father is angry, your mother is angry, or your grandparents are there, you just don't directly look into their eyes. That is like you are challenging them. Okay, so this you will learn in your non-verbal communication as well, that how to make eye contact, proper eye contact. But the thing is, if you are making eye contact, you are giving them an assurance that you are listening and understanding what they are speaking. And this is why we suggest generally that there should be frequent eye contact. Okay, there is one more term. It is called glass staring. Do you understand the meaning of this glass stare? All of us practice it. Glass stare is, there is staring, and it seems that you are looking at that person, but your brain is not there. Your brain is somewhere else. You are thinking about something else. So you sit there, you make an eye contact, you keep looking in the same direction, and you forget that you are listening, and your brain is engrossed in something else. You are remembering or reminiscing something else, and this stare, this gaze is there, and it is called glass stare. Okay, your eyes are not blinking, although the other person can understand that you are looking into their direction. So that is a kind of fake gesture. You are showing that you are listening, but you are not listening exactly. Next one is keep their emotions under control and don't let their own anxieties hinder the conversation. In the other column, we have allow their emotions to negatively influence the conversation. So what happens here, that just because you are going through something, there is some emotional turmoil, there is, just because you are hungry, it happens very frequently. You are hungry, you are unable to focus. You have been to so many lectures that in the last lecture you are tired, you are unable to sorry, you are unable to focus there. So it can be like you had something happening in your personal life, because of that you are disturbed, you are unable to focus. If you are a good listener, you will try to keep your emotions under control and you will not let them hinder the process of listening. So your concentration should be intact there. Try to control your emotions. Next one is mentally paraphrase key points to maintain attention level and ensure comprehension. What is paraphrasing? Sorry, what is paraphrasing? Anyone knows the meaning of paraphrase? Anyone?
Ma'am, understanding things in our own language.
Okay, correct. Understanding things in our own language. So if you people have studied Shakespeare or any dramatist, you can find out that on one page we have Old English, and in the similar book on the other page we have paraphrase. It means in a simple language. So whenever you listen to something continuously, there is a process of understanding it. Here you try to paraphrase, you try to understand those things in a simple language, which is your own language. When you do this, you understand it. If you certain times you come across words which are very difficult, so we do not focus on that, we just skip those points. That means you are not paraphrasing properly. Obviously, if you don't understand the word, you will don't understand the whole sentence as well. So people who are people who are good listeners, they keep this paraphrasing, mental paraphrasing continuously whenever they are listening, and in this way their attention is maintained there. And if you fail to paraphrase, obviously after some time, because you are not listening, you are not understanding, your concentration will be gone. So always try to paraphrase what you are listening. It doesn't mean that when only difficult words are involved. Even when you are listening to something, you try to relate it with your experiences, whatever you have listened prior to this, whatever you have read about it. In this manner, you can keep your attention level intact. Next is adjust listening style to the situation. In another column, we have listen with the same style regardless of the situation. So listening style, we are going to look into these styles in further slides. Here I would like to tell you only one thing. Just think about it. When we say listening style, if you go to a person to inquire about a train, how you are going to listen to that person? You will be very attentive. You will try to remember the name. You will try to remember the time. If that person tells you about the fare, you will remember that as well. Okay, so here you are taking information. So this is a different kind of listening style. If you are Yes, are you Aditya? Okay.
Ma'am, by mistake, my
Okay, be careful, please. Okay, so if you are listening to, if you are listening to music, you are listening to a song, what are you going to do there? You will not be that conscious, because you don't need to remember it. You are listening it for the sake of entertainment only. So this is going to be, in simple terms, or to be specific, not simple terms. If I tell you what are these listening style, the first one was informative. Here you are trying to take information, and the second one was appreciative. You are trying to appreciate the lyrics or the music. You are whiling away your time there. So these are the two styles. There are four styles generally. But here I'm just telling you that adjust listening style to the situation. It happens that within the lecture you can switch it. When they are, people do this. If it is not, if they want their listeners to be, attentive, they generally include examples there. Okay, so that there can be a mental break, those listeners can avail. So they tell you certain times people tell jokes, or they tell you an entertaining story. So here you can switch your listening style. So if you know how to listen properly, you will apply the style according to the situation. Next one is give the speaker non-verbal feedback. We have just discussed it. Okay, so making an eye contact or in nodding is very important. When you people sit in class and teachers are able to find out, okay, you did not understand it well, I can tell it by your face. So facial expressions are very important. If you raise an eyebrow, it shows that you are not getting it or you have some doubt there. If you are nodding, it shows that okay, you agree with it. Or if you do not agree and you just keep a blank face, so it means I do not agree with this. All of these are very important for the speaker. They understand these non-verbal feedback, and if you keep giving it to them, they understand, and then this listening process of yours is also active because you are trying to understand what is being said. Next is save questions or points of disagreement until an appropriate time. And here we have interrupt whenever they disagree or don't understand. So they take it as a challenge. Whenever they listen something with which they do not agree, they then and there interrupt the process. So this is wrong. This is not good listening. In professional world, especially when we are in presentations, or in lectures, we tell you that you can note down your points, your questions, and when the lecture or the presentation ends, you can ask the question. Don't interrupt. Don't if you ask it in the middle, the speaker gets disturbed and they lose track of time or lose track of their content what they were speaking. Next is engage the other person with questions or encouragement. Validate the other person's feelings. While ineffective listening, fail to engage, offer no encouragement or expression of understanding. So this is why when we ask for questions and you people, tell, even if you say that we have understood it, that works, that works well with us. We get this encouragement, we get this validation that you are understanding it properly. So whenever you are taking part in any listening activity or in a scenario where you were a listener, try to encourage them. There can be questions, there can be even compliments. In this way you tell the other person that you listen to it properly. Next is overlook stylistic differences and focus on the speaker's message. So this means that there are people who have very different accent. Okay, it can be when we talk about stylistic differences, the most important one is accent. People who are from different geographical area, they have their own way of pronouncing words, their own way of speaking things, their mother tongue effect is there, or several things are there. The main thing is you should overlook it and you should focus on what the person is saying. You should focus on the message. So people who are bad listeners or ineffective listeners, they generally try to give importance to accent. They make fun of other people, they become judgmental, or otherwise they tell that they are unable to understand anything. Okay, so if you are a good listener, you will try to focus on the message rather than the style. We have discussed this point in this starting as well. Make distinctions between main points and supporting details. If you are unable to do this, if you try to listen each and every word throughout the lecture, you are trying to practice hard listening, which is not possible. For 50 minutes or 40 minutes, you cannot concentrate on each and every word. So try to understand that how to segregate between main points and supporting details. Finally, look for opportunities to learn. And poor listeners, they assume they already know everything. That's important to know. This is, being close-minded. When you are sitting somewhere, you have heard about it, you have listened about it. Even then, when you listen again, you learn new things there. So always look for the opportunities. Even if I am teaching about listening today, After 2 days, another teacher tries to do this. You should go through that. You will certainly find something new there. You will learn more about the same topic. If it is generally said, if you read the same book again and again, every time you learn same thing. You have read those sentences, read those words, but with every reading, every next reading, you learn new things. So here also, whenever you have whenever you come across this kind of activity where you take part in listening, look for the opportunities to learn. Do not think that you already know everything, otherwise your mind will lose its focus. Okay, so when you practice all these things which we have discussed as effective listeners, when even I'm saying all of this, but even 6 or 7 out of these, if you could include in your habit or in your listening process, you will be a better listener than how you are right now. Okay, so this is why we say that listening is taught. This is an active process. You have to concentrate and learn it. You cannot think that this is a passive process, what to do or how to, people generally say that my focus is very bad, I have very poor concentration. This is how you achieve concentration. These are small tips. If you practice them, you will notice that you have improved a lot. Okay, so any questions from this? No,
ma'am.
Oh, no, thank you. So I'll end it here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.